What do you make of Jewish suffering over the last, centuries? The pogroms in Europe, the Holocaust, the exile from different parts of the world in Spain, the notion that Israel is a safe haven for Jews. I mean, how do you feel in a world without Israel? Are Jews in danger, do you think, given their history?
Is your question regarding American Jews? You want to know if you would be in danger without Israel?
Sure.
Why would you be in danger without Israel? You're in America.
Yeah.
Explain that. I don't understand the question.
Well, so the question would be, Israel was founded in part coming out of the Holocaust, saying, gosh, Jews had been safe in Europe, and then there were the pogroms, and then...
Question. First of all, you want to know if American Jews are safer without Israel or less safe without Israel? Who's safer? You or the Jews?
How about European Jews, let's say, given the history of the Holocaust? I get the question, and I think the answer is no. I think the question is just, some people view Israel as the response to the Holocaust and saying, the Jews are such a small people, they're inherently the...
Three things to that. Number one, I have over here in front of me an article from the Huffington Post 10 years ago, I think it is. 2015. This was after that attack in France. The writer says that Netanyahu called on all French Jews to immigrate to Israel while still on French soil. By calling on French Jews to immigrate to Israel while still on French soil, Netanyahu was rudely suggesting that they are no longer safe in France, and only Israel can provide a safe haven where they can live without fear and security. Netanyahu conveniently forgets that 80 times more Israelis were killed in Israel by suicide bombers and random acts of violence in the past 20 years than all Jews killed in Europe by terrorists in the same time period. Israel is the least safe place for Jews where Jews live, and this is before October 7th. If the Holocaust proves that the world, Europe, is not safe for Jews, what does October 7th prove about Israel? What is the fact that approximately 30,000 Jews were killed in wars and terrorist acts in Israel, or Zionists because of Zionism, which is more than anywhere else Jews are in the world? So number one, how's that working for you? Number one. Number two, it's not true. That's not why Israel was founded. Theodor Herzl died in 1904. The first Zionist Congress was 1897. It had nothing to do with that. In fact...
I thought it was Jewish suffering.
In fact, at the first Zionist Congress, Max Nordau made a speech. And he said nobody should think that the reason why we're making Zionism is a response to anti-Semitism.
Oh.
He said that anti-Semitism only made the Jews look at their relations to the nations. And by the way, you'll see a strange phrase, the Zionists always referring to the nations. That's because the word for goyim in English is the nations.
Oh.
So they really mean to say like the goyim, the non-Jews, but that's the best word that they knew. Oh. In any case, the last page of Herzl's The Jewish State, he says that as soon as Zionism gets off the ground, anti-Semitism will disappear off the face of the earth. Because remember, once the Jews change their personalities, or they're perceived to working on changing their personalities, nobody's going to hate the Jews anymore. So it didn't. Number one, it's not a safe haven for the Jews. On the contrary, where would Israel be without America? Isn't Israel always coming to America for help? Doesn't Israel always ask America? Right now, aren't they asking America for help?
Yeah.
Didn't they say, all the politicians, that Biden is going to destroy Israel because he wants to limit or condition the arms to Israel? So Israel can't stand on its own 2 feet. They're not independent. They're a charity country. Never mind the Iron Dome, never mind America's support for them. Here in America, we just had an election. And in this election, you have heard many times, America must support Israel with weapons and whatever they want. Otherwise, Israel will be destroyed. I didn't hear Israel saying, hey, we don't need your weapons.
They do, because they're at,
What?
I think they would agree. I think Israel would say, yeah, we do want your weapons.
Yes,
because
of course they do.
Iran's trying to destroy us.
Yes, Iran's trying to destroy us. Everybody's trying to destroy us in that safe haven for Jews.
I see what you're saying. Right, you're saying it's clearly not a
It's
safe
clearly not a safe place, but there's something more to this, and that's
Yeah.
the ideology of Zionism, which I didn't explain yet. So the ideology of Zionism says they came up with this ideology that the Jews are a nationality. This was a revolution. I have over here in front of me a book, The Making of Modern Zionism by Shlomo Avineri. Arguably, in my opinion, yes, Israel's best political scientist. He has a little chapter about each, well, I guess the founding fathers of Zionism, you can call them, and their ideas. One of them was Heinrich Gretz, the historian. He wasn't a Zionist in the traditional sense like Israel, but what he did was he wrote a history of the Jewish people. He educated the world that the Jews are a nationality, the Jews are a civilization. And this was the first time the Jews heard such a thing. Maybe Spinoza believed it, it's a question, but he was ostracized. But the Jews, by and large, without perhaps some quirky exceptions in a few thousand years, they didn't look at themselves. Here's what he writes. The programmatic significance of Gretz's position is enormous and revolutionary. The Jews are a people, a nation, not just a community of faith. They have a history, and Jewish national history has a meaning within the structure of world history. Judaism, moreover, has a political content as well as its religious belief system, and the messianic dimension of Judaism has clear political connotations inextricably connected with Palestine. ... Gretz's main impact and legacy was his monumental history of the Jews. Many Jews who became derancinated from their religious and traditional background drew their historical self-awareness as Jews from Gretz's volumes. Biblical heroes who slumbered in Jewish self-consciousness for generations were revived and underwent a far-reaching process of emancipation, secularization, and romanticization. Perhaps more than any other person, Gretz contributed to the view of Jews as a nation. Today, his historical method can rightly be criticized as inadequate and highly slanted. Yet it educated a whole class of modern, secularized Jews to view their own history in terms relevant to a modern, secular, and highly politicized world. Oh. The Zionists came up with this new idea: the Jews are a nation. This nation, what type of nation will it be? Well, there were different Zionists that had different ideas. There was the right wing and the left wing. Jabotinsky wanted more of a fascist type nation. Ben-Gurion wanted more of a socialist type nation. And these original ideas of what we should be, we have a blank slate. What the Jews should be developed into today's political parties in Israel. So that's why you have a right and a left.